Sadaqallahu al-Azim. I'm going to ask a question. What is the reason we are sitting here today, right now? This gathering right now, what is the intention that we are gathering? What should I pick? Brother Juhal, what intention do we have for sitting here, right now, this gathering? Yes, to learn the rules and regulations for fasting in the month of Ramadan. Why is it essential? Why is it important that we know the rules and regulations of fasting? Brother Iqbal, why is it essential that we learn the rules of fasting? So they're accepted, and what else? Anyone? Volunteers? Mr. Sayed, a big smile on your face. Why is it essential to learn the fasting rules? So we do it wrong. The reason why is so that we fast in such a manner that we can maximize the benefits of Ramadan. To perform and observe our fast in such a manner that there are no deficiencies in our fast. We gain the maximum reward. Inshallah, through this webinar, we can understand how we can make the most of our Ramadan through our fasting in itself. I'm not talking about the Quran recitation or the prayers, etc., just through the fasting aspect. So firstly, who is fasting fard upon? Fasting is made fard upon every single Muslim, male or female, as long as they have reached the age of puberty. Okay, as long as they have no valid excuse, then every person must fast. That includes the kada of fasts, and also Kaffara as well. They are also fard, they are also compulsory. Okay, qada and kafara are also fard. Just like the Ramadan fast are fard, the qada and kafara are also fard. If a person, for example, he has promised, he's made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I will fast if a certain task is fulfilled of mine. For example, I'm taking my driving test. If I pass, oh Allah, I promise that if I pass, you make it easy for me, I will fast for X amount of days, 4 or 5 days. Then also that fast also becomes wajib upon him. That's an extra side note as well. Okay, so what time does my fast start, or what time does my fast end? This young gentleman here, what time do we start our fast from? Do you know? What time? From sunrise, also known as the time of Fajr. So when the Fajr time starts, then our fast also starts. And it ends when? Maghrib time. So as soon as you hear the adhan of Maghrib, then you are permitted to open your fast and eat and drink again. Okay, so intention, this person on the far left, is it necessary to say out aloud that I am fasting today for Ramadan? Is it necessary? No. You can make your intention in your heart, in your mind, in any language which you would like, any language which you would wish. It's not necessarily for you to say out aloud. All you have to have a feeling and say in your heart that inshallah I will fast today. And that's it. You don't have to say it's month of Ramadan, etc., etc. You don't have to say that I'm fasting from this time to this time, whatever. Just say that in your heart, I am fasting. You merely waking up for suhoor is your intention, because you are practically showing your intentions. That in itself will suffice. Okay, so what is fasting? Is staying away from food and drink. Not staying away from food and drink, I mean you do not consume any food or drink or engage in sexual intercourse. But if a person abstains from fasting, abstains from food and drink and sexual intercourse, is that regarded as fasting? No, it is not. It is contingent upon intention. If you have no intention of fasting, then no matter how long or how many days you go without food or drink, it will not be regarded as fasting, even though you haven't consumed any food or drink. It is contingent upon the intention. Without the intention, your fasting will not be regarded for any type of fast, not just Ramadan, any type of fast. So intention is a must. Okay, moving on to the fasts of Ramadan. Okay, so you can make the intention at the time of Sahur, the time of night. Okay, but if a person decides he has no intention at all, he wakes up in the morning and it's still very early morning. He later decides that it's a month of Ramadan, I should be fasting. He had no intention before that. He had intention to skip it. But later on he felt bad, felt regret and remorse that I should be fasting. As long as it has not reached zenith, i.e. midday, the sun has reached its highest point. As long as it has not reached that point, then he can still make the intention for the fast of Ramadan. This is key to only the month of Ramadan, not any other type of fast. Okay, so he can still make intention until it is midday point, and his fast will be valid as long as he has not consumed any food or drink from the time of beginning of fast time, from the time of Fajr, from start of Fajr time. But if he has consumed any food or drink, no matter how small or how large, then his fast will not be counted. If a person makes an intention that tomorrow is a month of Ramadan, and he makes intention that tomorrow inshallah I will keep a nafil fast, I will keep a fast which is optional, just for the sake of it. In the month of Ramadan, no other fast will be accepted except for the fast of Ramadan, no matter what intention you make. Any other type of fast, if you want to make it in the month of Ramadan, it will not be regarded as a fast for any other type. It will only be regarded as the fast for Ramadan. Even if it's kada. For example, last year I missed Ramadan, a few fasts, or all the fasts. Then Ramadan, next year Ramadan comes, I got to keep qada for last year, I'll keep it right now. But during the month of Ramadan, the qada fast will not be regarded. It will be the current Ramadan's fast that will be regarded. The qada will have to made later on, at a later date. Even if it's a wajib fast, for example, I said if I pass my test, like I mentioned before, if I do pass my test, I will fast for X amount of days. Even those fasts will not be regarded. It will be only that month's Ramadan that will count. Okay, so qada fast or miss fast. Qada fast or miss fast is when a person decides not to fast for that day. Be it a legitimate reason, for example, a person was too ill, or for example, a person was a traveler, he traveled more than 72 kilometers or 74 kilometers. For that person, he is allowed to miss a certain fast if he's extremely ill or he's a traveler. Or if he missed a fast for another reason, after mentioning as well, if he missed a fast for a non-legitimate reason, then that person is considered to be sinful. It's one of the major sins. Okay, it's like when you miss salah, it's a major sin. When you miss fasting in the month of Ramadan for a non-legitimate reason, it is also considered as a major sin. So even if a person misses fast for non-legitimate reason or legitimate reason, he will have to make up for that fast, known as kada. Not kaffara, not to be confused with kaffara, which is compensating for a grave mistake from a person. That is separate. So qada fast, that must be made as soon as possible. So as soon as the days of Eid have passed, straight away a person should commit to fulfill the fasts that he has missed. It is a sin to delay any qada fast also, without any valid reason. When you are making your fast for qada, you do not have to make intention for a specific date. For example, I missed the 13th Ramadan, the 13th fast. You do not have to make it clear in your intention that I'm making up for the 13th fast of Ramadan. It's not necessary. You just say, I am fasting as a qada for the fast that I have missed. But if it's multiple Ramadans, i.e. meaning Ramadans from 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you got multiple years of qada to make up, then it is necessary to make it specific. For example, I have to say, I am making up the fast from 2021, the fast in 2021, and this fast is for 2022 or from 2000, whatever year it may be. You have to make it specific to that year if it's multiple different years. When you are making qada fast, it is necessary to make the intention before Fajr Salah, before Subh Sadiq, before sunrise. You cannot make intention in the morning whilst after you've woken up. You've woken up in the morning and you think to yourself, you know what, I might as well keep my qada fast now. Such a fast will be regarded as nafal, not as your qada fast. It is necessary to make the intention before the time of fasting has actually commenced. The same rule also applies to kaffara, compensating fasts. When you keep your qada fasts, it's not necessarily that you keep them in continuous days. You can fast one day, miss a day, or miss several days, and then keep another fast. The only condition is that you make sure you complete them before you pass away. The thing is, none of us know when we will pass away. So as soon as you get the opportunity to fast for your qada, commit to them straight away and as soon as possible. So if a person falls unconscious during the day and whilst he's fasting, and his unconsciousness remains for a few days, so in such a case, a person will have to keep qada fast. A person will have to keep qada fast for all the days that he was unconscious for, apart from the day he actually fell unconscious. So for example, I was fasting on the 10th day of Ramadan. I fell unconscious. I was unconscious on the 10th, I was unconscious on the 11th, 12th, 13th. So after Ramadan, I would have to keep qada of not the 10th, but starting from the 11th, 12th, and the 13th day. So that's 3 fasts I have to make up. But the day I fell unconscious, which was the 10th, I will not have to make up for that fast. That fast will be regarded as fulfilled. Such a fast I will not have to keep qada for, because I had already made intention that day that I am fasting, and I have already abstained from food and drink. But if a person on that same day he has consumed medicine orally, i.e. through his mouth, then he will also have to keep fast for that 10th day also. For example, when he was unconscious, a doctor administered medicine to him orally, then he will have to keep qada for the 10th also. But if he had not consumed any medicine orally, then he will not have to keep qada of the 10th fast, but all the remaining fast, 11th, 12th and 13th. If a person fell unconscious at night and he had already made intention for fasting that following morning and that day, then he will also not have to keep qada of that fast. If he had not made intention and the fasting time has not started yet, he not made intention, then he will also have to keep fast of that day that he fell unconscious. Okay? So you'll have to keep qada of that fast as well, because he had not made intention yet. As I mentioned before, intention is very contingent to your fasting. Without intention, your fasting will not be counted and regarded, no matter what happens during that day. So, moving on to things that do break our fast and things that do not break our fast. Okay, one thing I'll mention top of the head is if you are diabetic and you take insulin, If you are not taking it directly to your stomach, for example, people take injections of insulin, if not directly into the stomach, then taking insulin during your fast will not affect your fast. You can still fast during the period of Ramadan whilst you're taking insulin. Obviously, take advice from an experienced Muslim doctor beforehand, before Ramadan starts. Take advice from an experienced Muslim doctor. Okay? Conditions are experienced and a Muslim doctor. Take advice from them beforehand of how much insulin a person needs to take, of how much he should be taking and what medicines he should take. Either they increase the dosage or decrease the amount of insulin that a person may have to take. Also, similarly, if you're taking any injections, as long as it's not affecting your brain or directly going into the stomach itself, any injections, then such medication will also not affect your fast. But if it has any effect on your brain or it goes directly into your stomach, then such injections and medication will break your fast. And qada will be compulsory upon you, but not kaffara, not compensating fasts. Okay, so if a person forgetfully eats or drinks, then that person's fast will not break. He has completely forgotten that he's not fasting. He's completely forgotten that he's fasting, and he eats and drinks, then his fast will not break. Now is the case when you see someone who is fasting, this is in Ramadan or out of Ramadan, regardless. If you see someone that's eating and they are fasting, then what should you do? Should you tell that person or not? If you know that person, and you know that person is a strong person, meaning that he can go that full fast and fast will not have effect on him physically, then you should remind that person in a kind manner and respectful manner that brother or sister, you are fasting, abstain from drinking or eating. But if you know such a person, he finds it difficult to fast, it brings a great toll on his body physically, he finds it difficult, then you do not say anything to that person, and also do not look down upon such a person. Okay, everyone is different, everyone has different physical capabilities and mental capabilities. Don't look down upon him, just pray in your heart that Allah reminds him that he is fasting, and he himself will come to the conclusion that I am fasting, by mistake, I should stop eating. He should come to that conclusion by himself. You just make dua for that person. That is it. A person slept during the day. He's fasting, he's a bit tired, so he thought, I'd take a nap. During this nap, he had a wet dream. In such a case, a person will not break his fast. Okay? Something went down a person's throat, like a fly or some dust or some smoke, or he inhaled some smoke by accident, unintentionally, just passing by, and something he inhaled or consumed by accident. Such a person's fast will not break. But if a person is sitting in a room and someone has started to burn some incense sticks, and he's in that room, and there's fumes coming out, there's smoke coming out from those sticks, incense sticks, then you are putting yourself in such a situation that you are inhaling such smoke. You're not removing yourself from such a situation, so such a person's fast will break. If someone lights an incense stick, you should either turn it off, take it off, or remove yourself from that situation, i.e. go away from that room or go to a different room or a different place. Remove yourself from such a situation where something will affect your fast. You not removing yourself or doing something to prevent yourself from inhaling that smoke, that in itself will cause you to break your fast. So at the time of suhoor, you were eating, and there's a piece of food stuck in between your teeth. Now the fasting has started, the day has gone on, and during the day, it has become loose. This piece of food has become loose, and you swallow it without knowing or unintentionally. It just went down. Now, Now, what will happen to such a person's fast? If it's such a size, as in it's smaller than a gram seed or a mustard seed, very small. If it's that small and you swallow it, it will not affect your fast. If it's bigger than a gram seed, then it will break your fast. But if you take that piece of food out and then put it back in again, then in such a case it will break your fast, because you've actively put something in your mouth, and that in itself, when you consume it, will break your fast, because you are actually eating. You are intentionally doing something to break your fast. Swallowing your saliva, some people, they gather saliva in their mouth and they swallow it, that will not break your fast. Similarly, snorting your nose, the mucus in your nose, will not break your fast. A person had to perform ghusl, a farz ghusl at night, but he did not do so straight away. Now the time of suhoor has ended, time of fasting has started, he's gone through the day. That in itself is sinful, to delay your fasting, to delay your ghusl, to delay your shower. But if a person has done so, then it will not affect his fast. He can still continue to fast, but on the side of tahara, cleanliness, a person should perform ghusl straight away, unless when he realized he had to perform ghusl and there's only a short amount of time for suhoor, then obviously you should give preference to your suhoor first, eat something, and then you start your ghusl straight away. Only then in such a case, then you can delay your ghusl. So a person at night, he's eating something, and during that eating, he's swallowing something, chewing something, or he has something in his mouth, for example, pan or whatever it may be, and then he fell asleep. When he wakes up in the morning, and he still has this food in his mouth, what will happen to that person's fast? The ruling is that such a person's fast will not be valid. He will have to make kada, no kaffara. And something very, very important to note is that whilst you're performing wudu and ghusl during the month of Ramadan, do not gargle. There's a misconception that gargling is farz in ghusl. It is not farz. What is farz during ghusl is to wet the whole mouth and the lips, not gargling. It's very essential that you know this. So during Ramadan, take extra care, do not gargle, because when you are gargling, there's a chance that water could enter into the throat and go into the stomach. Now when such a thing happens, obviously you are breaking your fast. If this does happen, you have broken your fast and you will have to fulfill qada but not kaffara, because you have not broken your fast intentionally. So make sure during the month of Ramadan, when you are gargling water, make sure actually do not gargle during the month of Ramadan. Just insert water into your mouth, swivel it around, and then spit it out again. Do not gargle. A person vomits unintentionally. Okay, he was ill or whatever reason may be, he vomits. His fast will not break. But if a person vomits or puts himself in such a situation or does something to himself that will make him vomit, he knows that that thing will make him or cause him to vomit, then that person, if the vomit was more than a mouthful, then that will break his fast. If it's less than a mouthful, then that will not break his fast. Sometimes a person's vomit may come up his throat and the back of his mouth, and it goes back down again. Such a person's fast will not break. But if it came out into his mouth, he should spit it out. But if he swallows it back down again, then that will break his fast. There's a difference between the two. The one that comes up and it goes down back on its own, that will not break his fast, because he has no control of that. Allah will not hold us for something which we are not in control of. But once it comes out into our mouth, we have the ability to spit it out. Then if a person swallows it back down again, in such a case, a person's fast will break. If a person has blood in his mouth and he swallows that blood, then a person's fast will break. If the blood is more than the saliva. If the blood is less than the saliva, then a person's fast will not break. If a person, he ate something by accident and forgetfully, that he forgot that he was fasting in the month of Ramadan, as we have mentioned before, a person's fast has not broken. But this person was under the misconception that he has eaten. Now that his fast has broken, now he starts to eat as if he's not a fasting person, because he thinks he's broken his fast. That person's fast has obviously now broken because he's eating intentionally, because he is under the assumption that he's now fasting. He will now have to keep kada, but not kaffara. A person who vomited involuntarily, same thing again as the eating situation. He is under the assumption that he has now broken his fast. Now he is going to act like he's not a fasting person. He's gone on to eat and drink, etc., etc. Same again, he will have to keep qada but not kaffara. So in such a case where a person is no longer fasting, he started off fasting and he's no longer fasting at this moment, for whatever reason it may be. Even though his fast has broken, either for legitimate reason or non-legitimate reason, that person should still continue to act like he is a fasting person, even though he is not fasting. Okay, a person that has a legitimate reason to not fast, even, he should act like a fasting person. If it is necessary for him to eat or drink, then he should do so in such a place where no others should see him. For two reasons. One reason being is that people should not see him eat, because people may assume the worst of him. Meaning that people will see him and think that he is a sinner. In Islam, we should not put ourselves in such a situation. Even if we are not doing something wrong, we should not put ourselves in such a situation where people will think that we are sinning, or people will think that we do something bad. So if we need to eat, then do so in a private place where no one else can see you. Secondly, the reason why you should eat in such a place where no one else can see you is that if someone else sees you and they're fasting, it would make their fast more difficult upon them. So try to make it easy on others and be mindful of others also. What things are makruh? What things are disliked during fasting? So tasting food, okay, tasting food, not consuming it, not swallowing it, that brings karaha, dislikeness into your fast. It takes away from the total amount of reward that a person may gain during the fasting in the month of Ramadan. So tasting food during the month of Ramadan. Also, a mother that chews down food and softens their food for their child so that they can eat, such a thing is also makruh. If there's no alternative for that child, for example, they've got no other means to break down that food, then it is permissible for that mother to break down the food in her mouth, to soften it and then pass it on to the baby. But alhamdulillah, in this day and age, we have all sorts of types of blenders, so we shouldn't have that problem. To use toothpaste during fasting. Okay, if you want to brush your teeth with toothpaste, do so at the time of suhoor and also after iftar. During the day, if you wish to freshen your breath, because a fasting person's breath may be very unpleasant, then if you wish to freshen your breath somehow, then use the miswak. Do not use mints, do not use the sprays that freshen your breath. Do not use any type of things that you have to put inside your mouth. Okay, that will bring karaha, makruh, dislikeness into your fast. Okay, use miswak. Okay, suhoor and iftar are very important. Obviously, no one misses iftar, but suhoor is very, very, very important. It's one of the great sunnahs passed on to us by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Tasahharu fa innaha barakatun. That take part in suhoor, the act of sahri, because in it there's many blessings. Okay, one of the many blessings is that person that takes part in suhoor or sahri or whatever you call it, that will help you stave off any hunger during your fast. And also many doctors and nutrition have recommended to eat fibrous foods, something that will stay in your stomach for a long time, that will help you with your fast during that day. Iftar also has many blessings, just like suhoor has many blessings. So obviously partake in both. There are many blessings apart from the obvious, where you can finally start to eat and drink again. Okay, at the time of iftar, whilst you're waiting for it, make sure you are engaging in dua. Do not sit there idle, or do not engage in futile worldly affairs, talking about worldly affairs. One of the du'as that Prophet ﷺ used to engage in during the time of iftar, or the build-up into iftar, is Ya wasi' al-fadli, Ya wasi' al-fadli, ighfirli. Ya wasi' al-fadli, ighfirli. It's one of the common du'as that Prophet ﷺ used to engage in. Also, at the time of iftar, a person dua is accepted. It is a sunnah to make sahri. If a person is not hungry, he should at least take part in it, because as I said before, there's a lot of barakah in it. Have some water, have a date, have something small. Just do something for the time of suhoor. And you should manage your time. Okay, if you know how long it takes for you to eat, then calculate that time and plan that time for the time of suhoor. Don't leave it too late and don't leave it too early. So by the time you finish, there's still ample time left to eat. Okay, plan in such a manner where you can comfortably eat and there's still a tiny portion amount of time left for the time of before the fasting actually starts. There is a common misconception that once I finish my suhoor meal, fasting has started. But in actual fact, there is still time to eat. Fasting does not start until Fajr time starts, until the sun rises. Even though a person has finished eating, his fasting does not start until the fasting time actually starts, which is the start of Fajr Salah. Not the actual Jamaat itself, the time of beginning of Salah, beginning of Fajr Salah. So you can eat all the way up until then. Even if you finish eating, you can have something small, for example, dates or whatever, something small, whatever you want to do actually. If a person has missed suhoor, he fell asleep at night after Taraweeh, after performing Tahajjud Salah, whatever it may be, and he woke up in the morning and he thought to himself, oh no, I missed suhoor, I'm not going to fast today. Even in such a case, you miss suhoor, you should still fast. It is a sign of conviction and your strength in Iman and Islam. Okay? Still persevere. Unless a person has a severe condition where if he does not have suhoor and he can't fast, in such a case, because it's a medical condition, a person can forego his fast for that day. But that's in severe cases. A person woke up late and he starts his suhoor. And he starts to eat his suhoor, and by the time he finishes, he realizes that the fasting time has actually started. And he was eating after the time of suhoor. So he basically, the fasting time has started and he's eating thinking it's still suhoor time. Such a person's fast will not be valid because he has started to consume food and drink after the time of fasting has already commenced. But he should still remain as a fasting person. As I mentioned before, a person should save himself from evil thoughts of other people. The same way if a person thinks. Okay, also a person, he starts to eat thinking it's iftar time. He had a dodgy clock, or Sunnah told him it's fasting time, it's iftar time, he starts to eat. For whatever reason, but in actual fact, iftar time hasn't commenced. He's not supposed to eat at that time. Such a person's fast will also break and have to make qada for that. After he realizes that it's not actually qada time, not iftar time, he should still act like a fasting person. As soon as iftar time has commenced, so iftar time has started, there's no doubt in his mind, then that person should eat straight away. You should not delay it for any reason. Have your iftar meal straight away. What is the preferable food for iftar? The Prophet ﷺ has said and showed us in practice that he used to break his fast and open his fast at the time of iftar with aswadain. Aswadain is having dates and water. If you do not have dates, then it's preferable to find a sweet alternative, something sweet in place of it. So have your iftar with a date and water. If there is doubt in your mind that if iftar time has started or not, do not open your iftar until you are convinced 100% that iftar time has started. It's recommended that everyone gets a clock or a time, whatever it may be, watch that is connected to the internet, which has the most accurate time. Okay, so try to invest in such equipment. Investing in such equipment with the intention of opening your fast at the correct time, or to stop eating, as in having the suhoor, and stop having the suhoor at such a time, buying such equipment or buying such things with the intention to help you with the fasting is actually a reward, because you are buying something for the sake of your Islam. You're buying something for the sake of Allah. So whenever we purchase something, not just for Ramadan or anything in life, whenever we purchase anything in our lives, think of an intention of how it can benefit me and my iman. And whenever you purchase anything, you're purchasing it for your benefit and you're also gaining reward. For example, you're buying a car. Buy it with the intention that you're going to go to the masjid, you're going to frequent the masjid. Although you're going to do shopping, you're going to go on holidays, whatever, but you've made the intention that you're going to go to salah, or you're going to go to meet your Muslim brothers when they are sick, whatever it may be. Any good intention for the sake of Islam, whatever purchase you are making, make it with the intention of pleasing Allah in some way, some shape or form. Even if you can't think of the intention, I'm buying this for the pleasure of Allah. Oh Allah, make this purchase a means of me becoming closer to you. Make it with that intention, Allah will make that purchase a means of reward for you, inshallah. And through that intention, Allah will save you from any sins that a person may commit from that purchase. Not just for anything, from any purchase you make in your life. Make this a goal, a mission for me. From now on, today, whenever I make a purchase, I'm going to make it for the sake of Allah and for the pleasure of Allah. Okay, Kaffara. What is Kaffara? Kaffara is when a person breaks his fast intentionally. That I'm breaking my fast. And he has no legitimate Shari'i reason. He has no Islamic reason to break his fast. He does not have a medical condition, does have no condition, no reason whatsoever. He just wants to break it. First and foremost, it is a major sin. It is a major sin to break your fast for no legal reason. Okay. Secondly, a person must make up for that fast. First, he must do kada, make up for that fast, and then commit to kaffara. Kaffara is 60 days continuous, meaning you cannot miss a day in between. Every single day for 60 days straight, a person must commit to kaffara. If he breaks in between, for whatever reason, a person must start again from zero, from one again. Even if Eid comes in between. For example, a person may start his kaffara a bit late, and then Eid al-Adha comes. As we know, between Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha is only 2 months in between. If a person starts it 10 days before Eid, and he fasts, but on the days of Eid, it is haram to fast. You are not allowed to fast during the days of Eid. So that person he has to break his fast. He has to start again from 1, from day 0 again. But a female, a woman, if her period comes in between, then that will not break her continuous days. As soon as her period starts, she obviously goes through her period days. As soon as the period finishes, she starts again. She continues from whatever day she left off from. She does not have to start again from 0. But if she does take in time in between the period, like she takes a day break after a period, then she will have to start again from 1. So straight away when it finishes, you have to start again your kaffara. Another note to mention is, regardless of how many fasts you broke intentionally, for each Ramadan, for example, this year, 2023, I broke 7 of my fasts intentionally. He will only have to keep the 7 kada fasts, or however many days he broke, and then 60 days. That's it. You don't have to do 60 times by 7, however many fasts that is. But if he's got multiple Ramadans, for example, this year, 2023, from 2022, then you'll have to keep 60 for each Ramadan that has gone by, if he's broke it intentionally in each of those years. So for each Ramadan, each year's Ramadan, it consists of 60 days each. Okay, regardless of how many broke in that year. If a woman is going through postnatal bleeding, after childbirth she's bleeding, that will break her kaffara. That will break her kaffara. She will have to start all over again from the beginning. If, for example, a person missed a few days of his kaffara because he was ill, once that person recovers, it will have to be started again. He will have to start again, even if he recovers from his illness. He broke the continuity because of illness or whatever reason, he'll have to start again. For example, a person starts his kaffara just before the month of Ramadan. Then Ramadan starts. I mentioned before, no other month or no other Ramadan, no other fast will be regarded in the month of Ramadan. Only if you fast, no matter what intention you make, only that year's Ramadan will be counted. So kaffara, if you start it too late, Ramadan comes in between, that kaffara will have to be restarted again after the month of Ramadan. If a person does not have the strength or the ability to continuously fast for 60 days, then a person can pay for 60 people's food, 60 poor persons' food. For 60 people, one day he feeds them. Okay, twice a day, he can feed them twice a day, 60 people. Or one person for 60 days, 2 meals a day. Okay, when we give our fitrana at the time of Eid, which is approximately 3-4 pounds, it's around that much. If you can't physically feed someone, then give the equivalent in charity. There are many services, many charities that provide this service of paying for fitrana, they may call it, or paying for kaffara. Many services provide this. You go to these services and you need to pay for a certain amount of fasts, and they calculate it for you, and all you have to do is pay that sum of money, and that will be your responsibility fulfilled also. If someone asks someone else, for example, a relative or a friend, can you pay for my kaffara? Can you pay for my grain to feed 60 people or one person for 60 days? If a person accepts and pays on his behalf, then his kaffara will also be valid. But if a friend of mine knows that I have to pay kaffara, but I do not know about it, and he goes ahead and pays it, it will not be counted towards my kaffara. It will be counted as normal charity. My kaffara will not be fulfilled. I have to give him permission to pay kaffara on my behalf. I have to give him permission. It is necessary that I give a person permission to pay my kaffara. If a person pays less than sadaqatul fitr, then that kaffara will not be valid. Or if a person does not feed that person a good meal for 60 days, then his kaffara will not be valid. What consists of a good meal? Not high-end, no one's asking for a Michelin star meal. It's an average meal, a sufficient meal that is nutritious for that person. Not the lowest of quality, and no one's asking for the highest. An average, good, healthy, nutritious meal. What conditions is a person allowed to break his fast? If a person suddenly falls ill and fears if he does not break his fast, it would cause his health great danger, i.e. mean that his health will suffer in the long term. Or if he fears that his life may be in danger, in such a case, a person may break his fast by taking medicine or consuming food. But after he has consumed food or taken medicine, he should still act like a fasting person. Extreme thirst is not a valid reason for a person to break his fast, unless he is fearing his life or his long-term health may be affected. Meaning, what I mean by long-term health, that in the future he cannot commit to certain tasks, or he may not be able to commit to the next fast or the next Ramadans. So he takes the hit now and he'll benefit him in the future. Secondly, a pregnant woman who will find it difficult for her baby, or she's breastfeeding and her fasting will affect her feeding of the child. In such a case, she can break her fast. She will have to keep kada, but she will not have to keep kaffara. In such a case, she can break her fast. If a person is sick, he's not fasted, he's ill, but he fears that if I continue to fast, my illness will become worse, or that it will prolong the illness, then such a person has the permission to not fast. This is about, is it legit, am I allowed to not fast? This is to begin with at the beginning. Do I start my fast or not? If he fears that if he fasts, his sickness will be prolonged, then he has permission not to fast. He'll have to make qada later, but he has permission not to start that fast. Once he recovers, he must start to fast immediately and then make qada afterwards. But this should he should take consultation from an experienced Muslim doctor beforehand. Okay, an experienced Muslim doctor. Or if a person has had past experience with the same illness. If it's a new illness, he cannot take consultation from himself. He should go to a doctor first and then consult him. If I fast, would it prolong my illness? And would it affect my future fast? And if he says yes, miss a few fasts now, or miss this fast, get healthy, then start fasting again. Under his permission, then you can forego that fast, but make qada later. If a person recovers from his sickness, but continue to feel weak, he feels that if he fasts, he will fall ill again. So he feels good again, but he doesn't feel 100%. If he feels that if he falls ill, if he fasts again, he will fall ill again because of the fasting will make him weak again. In such a case, he should not fast. But again, also take advice from an experienced Muslim doctor. So I mentioned before, if you are traveling and you travel more than 77 kilometers, during that travel, a person, he has the permission to not to fast. Okay, during that traveling period, he has the permission to not fast. Okay, just like salah, when you're traveling more than 77 miles, you do qasr salah, you do a shortened salah. The same rule applies to a fasting person. He does not have to fast if he is traveling more than 77 miles. A person who did not fast due to sickness, and he passed away during that illness or because of that illness, or a traveler who did not fast because of his traveling, and he passed away before he could reach his destination or before he could reach home. In both cases, such a person will not have to make qada, obviously, because once he's passed away, and secondly, a person will not have to compensate for him on his behalf, because he had not had the opportunity to make up for those fasts. So Allah will not make him liable for something they had not had the opportunity to do so. A traveler had the intention of not fasting. However, he reached home or the destination before noon, before midday. A person should still make the intention to fast. Okay? Or if I'm traveling to a destination and I reach that place before noon and have the intention of staying at that place for more than 15 days. Just like Salah, if you stay more than 15 days at a certain destination, we are no longer going to do a shortened Salah. We have to do full Salah. In the same way for fasting. If you're not staying there for more than 15 days, then we have to fast those remaining days that we're there at that destination. If less than 15 days, then you may not fast. You have the permission to not fast. Just like Salah. If you reach that destination before noon, a person should make the intention of fasting. If he does not make the intention of fasting, he should act like a fasting person. Again, like I mentioned before, to save himself from evil thoughts and also to make it easy on other people. Now I mentioned before, people who are sick or are unable to commit to fasting. Rather, they're very, very old, they are weak, they cannot commit to a full day of fasting, or they've got very serious illness. So such a person obviously should not fast. So what should they do alternatively? They should pay Fidya. Now Fidya is the equivalent of paying Sadaqatul Fitr or feeding such persons. So for example, I cannot fast again. This is in such a case where a person cannot even commit to qada, where he cannot even make it up afterwards. Okay, he cannot make it up afterwards even. In such cases where a person is ill, but he recovers from that illness, he should make qada. But for such a person, he cannot even make qada, he shall make fidya. It's also first on him or that person to make fidya, to pay fidya. So however many days he misses or she misses, she pays for that many days or feeds that many people for that many days of that many days he or she missed. Feeding that person or paying equivalent. As I mentioned before, many charity organizations provide such services. All you have to do is calculate the days and pay the fee. A person who was sick and ill and unable to fast, or an old person, did not have the strength to fast, and he had no hope of recovery. So he was paying fidya for all these years. But all of a sudden, he regained strength again. He became healthy again. Now that person, he will have to keep qada of all those fasts he or she missed. And all the fidya that that person gave, they will now be regarded as optional charity. It will go down on her records of deeds that that person has paid charity to the poor people or has fed poor people. But it will still be compulsory on that person to keep qada for all those fasts that that person has missed. A person had a few qada fasts, but just before his death, he had made a request, a bequest, a wasiyah, before he passed away, that from my inheritance, a person is legally allowed to make 1/3 of his inheritance to go towards charitable purposes. From that 1/3, if a person has qada fast or fidya to pay, then that person, he can make a request to his inheritors that pay off my qada or pay off my fidya from my inheritance, as long as it's within 1/3 of the inheritance. If it's more than 1/3, then the inheritors pay off 1/3 of the inheritance towards the Fidya, and the rest of the 2/3 will have to be contributed and distributed towards the inheritors. Now, if the inheritors themselves feel like they want to honor and respect the relatives' request, then they may pay the Fidya, the kada, on their own behalf. Then they may do so, and it will be counted towards the deceased person's qada and fidya. But if he does not wish to do so, then he is not liable, he is not responsible, and he is not sinful for the deceased person's qada. He's in his whole right to keep that money, because it is his right to keep that money. Whatever he wants to do with that money, he can do whatever he wishes to do with that money, as long as it is halal. If a person did not make a request before he passed away, then again, as I mentioned before, whatever he wants to do with the money that he's inherited, or the assets that he's inherited, he'll do whatever he wants with it. And if he wishes to pay off that relative's qada or his fidya, then they may do so and pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts it on behalf of the deceased. Then it's upon Allah if he wants to accept it or not. If there are any non-mature inheritors amongst the inheritors, then what you can do is you cannot pay the fidya. You cannot pay off the qada. What you can do in such a scenario is you separate the inheritance, you keep the non-mature children's money to a side, and from your own money, a person can choose to pay off the fidya if he wishes to do so. He separates the fidya for the non-mature children and then pay off the fidya from his own inheritance, from his own share. Now, a very important note to mention, that Itikaf, staying inside the masjid, the last 10 days of Ramadan, from the 21st of Ramadan, from just before Maghrib Salah, a person stays inside the masjid for the last 10 days of Ramadan or 9 days of Ramadan, not leaving the masjid for any reason. Okay? It is a sunnat kifaya, meaning that one person at least in the locality must perform Itikaf. If no one in that locality performs Itikaf, then the whole locality is held responsible for not performing Itikaf. But if one person performs Itikaf, they have taken responsibility of the full locality's Itikaf, and he will receive the reward for the whole locality. He alone, that person. Now we should all make the intention to at least perform Itikaf once in our lifetime. And if we are not performing Itikaf during that year, what we should all do is make the people who are doing Itikaf, make their Itikaf easy for them. How can we do that? Is try not to disturb them. Make it easy for them. Give them what they need. It's not necessary, but these are certain advices given by the scholars. Provide food for them, iftar. Provide suhoor for them. Okay, another thing that you can do is, because in Itikaf you cannot leave the masjid, so what you can do is, they need to eat and drink. So what you can do is, you could bring a jug and a bucket, so when they eat and drink, they can wash their hands inside the masjid. If they need to brush their teeth, you bring a jug and water and a bucket, so they can brush their teeth. They can perform wudu inside the masjid. But leave a wet area in the masjid, and you provide water and a bucket for them. Yes, it is permissible to leave the masjid to perform wudu, but if it is possible for him to perform wudu inside the masjid, then try and facilitate towards that person. And inshallah, if you help a person perform Itikaf, whatever it may be, in whatever capacity, then you will also gain a part of that reward of performing Itikaf. Inshallah, we should all try and make intentions. And inshallah, in the coming days of Ramadan, there will be a talk on what the rules of Itikaf are, where you are allowed to go, and what reasons you are allowed to leave the masjid. Many times we see people going to the kitchen, that breaks your itikaf. Going to the office, it breaks your itikaf. Because these places are not regarded as the masjid. Going to the wudu khana, going to do your wudu, these are not places regarded as the masjid. Going there for unnecessary reasons will break your itikaf. Okay, performing a shower, that also breaks your itikaf. So these certain rules I will cover, or someone will cover in the days of Ramadan. A woman can perform itikaf also, but in her household. She makes a place in her house where she stays in that place, she sleeps in that place, she prays in that place, and she performs itikaf in one place, one designated area in her house. She cannot use the whole house, her bedroom, her office, or whatever. She cannot designate the whole house, just one specific area. Not even an entire room, an area. She can designate an area for her i'tikaf as well. She may leave for cooking purposes, etc., etc. The same rules applies as in the masjid also. I hope I've covered all the topics and all that is coming in the month regarding the fiqh of Ramadan, the do's and the don'ts of Ramadan. And I also make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives us the ability to fast in the proper manner and to obtain the full reward from the month of Ramadan. Now, if anyone has any requests or any questions regarding the fiqh of Ramadan, then you may do so now also as well. Or if you want to ask me in private or in person or during the month of Ramadan itself, myself and my colleagues are also open to questions also. Jazakumullahu khair.